lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we are going to be talking about the crazy comment that Joe Biden made last night. Kamala was trying to do her big finish at DC, big rally, all these DC, employees, elites, whatever, came out to hear her and so on. And she rambled about January 6th and Donald Trump is this and Donald Trump is that. And apparently she's going to give amnesty, but she's going to deport people. And it's just, everything she's trying to be in order to win, And then Joe Biden, he just rains on her parades. People are questioning if he's doing it on purpose. But, I think he doesn't want her to win. But I don't know if he was like, let me come out there and call half the country, or about half the country or a big chunk of it or whatever, garbage. And they're trying to say that he didn't say that. And the White House put out a manuscript with an apostrophe on it to try to change the meaning of what he said. But the truth is that Joe Biden does have a history of saying negative things about Americans who disagree with him. And that's just kind of the history of the Democrats right now, to be honest, to be frank. So they don't need to walk this back. He said it with his full chest. And he just, if it's a bad thing, which is a bad thing, he just kind of needs to apologize and move on. But people don't appreciate the lies or whatever. So we'll be talking about that, Kamala Harris's closing argument, and more. But before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys, go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, because it does cost a stream on my website, etc. There's some things also got to get taken care of and fixed and replaced or whatever. So if you guys can support in that kind of way, God bless you guys tremendously. Thank you to all of you who are watching the show live, and to those of you who are someone said my lips are pink and not red. That is because my makeup is not fresh. I've been wearing it all day. Man, I should have replied the lipstick. I've been up for a while, and I had a show this morning, so I did not reapply anything basically. And so, it doesn't stay. Usually I just do it all right before I come on live. So that's the explanation. And I just didn't reapply. So that's why they're pink today. The color's a little weird. They were red earlier. But anyway, and I think, I don't know, the light is kind of washed me out a little bit with I don't know what the issue is, but anyway, I'll get to my day earlier, but again, please go to the website, check out different stuff on there. You guys can check out a new article that I wrote, a pretty interesting article. It's about when I had a conversation with a relative who's a Democrat voter, lifelong Democrat voter, and they said that they wanted the orange man back in office, not because they liked him or anything, but they didn't like the job that Biden Harris was doing. And when I explained the Alvin Bragg case against Donald Trump, they had made a comment, oh, so they're treating Trump like they treat black men. And so I thought that was really interesting when they said that. So I wrote an article about that and the targeting of Donald Trump, and why, it's not the end of the world to some people if he's a felon or identified that way, because that would get overturned anyway. It was a dumb case. But Kamala Harris, people want to say, oh, law and order, she's the prosecutor, she's going to lay out the case against this terrible, awful man. But people view her as a corrupt prosecutor, and people think that all the attention that's come to Trump, not all of it, but much of it is just persecution. So supporting him is supporting him against the system, the corrupt system that Kamala Harris represents. So, anyway, it's an interesting article, and I recommend that you guys check it out and share it and stuff at blacktnews.com. It's the last article I just posted. I posted a link to it on my X, on my community no page on YouTube. It's there, and also on Facebook. So you guys can go ahead and read that. But I encourage you guys to go to the website so you guys can make sure you're signing into the email and getting those kind of notifications. Please check out different stuff at my store. Like, I got tons of books that you guys can learn more about if you go to blacktnews.com and go to the merchandise page. And there's a link in the description. I'll take you to my Amazon page too. And I know I talk about my books and stuff a lot here. I don't do enough on TikTok. I had a stack of them. Like, I set them down somewhere. Where did I stack all my books? There. Oh, they're to the other side of me here. So yeah, anyway, I have a this is one of my books called The Dark Mermaid. I make my own covers too. I'm sure I've told you guys that, but this is one of my many nonfiction. I mean, it's fiction. One of my fiction books. Mostly I write fiction books, but on Sunday I have that book festival, the author festival stuff. I will be signing books from 10 to 12. I will only be there at 10 to 12, and that's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And on Friday, and this is the week of election, so there's Sunday and then Tuesday's election, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I have I will be at Motor City Comic Con in Novi, Michigan. I will be in Artist Alley. I don't know the booth off the top of my head. I will send an email about that. But yeah, I'll be selling my mini books there. So if you're in the area, I'd love for you guys to come by and get something signed and talk to you guys and about life and so on. So that's what's going on. This morning, well, last night, let me tell you guys last night, last night my youngest sister called me. And she said that one of her former employees texted her and she was like, dude, your sister is in my exam. And she's like, what do you mean? And so she sent her, pictures of an exam that she was taking. And it was some kind of political science class about politics and media. And they teach, I guess, quite a bit about TikTok and the influence of TikTok and so on. And so I was in one of the questions. So they had to analyze one of my videos, which I like immediately recognized. I had shot it maybe about 2 years ago in it was, I don't know if it was 2 years ago, but I was I did it at the studio, at the Brighter Michigan studio, because they have the walls painted green, so I easily recognized it. And I recognized the shirt I had on, and it was about Chris Mallory. And Chris Mallory, he's one of those kids who's young kids. He's an adult, but he's in his early 20s or whatever, and he's friends with Harry Sisson, and who's another young person paid by this company, I think called Palette Media. But Palette Media is paid by the DNC, so they're paid like operatives for the Democrats and stuff, and they just spread like the dumbest kind of news online. We watched one of Harry's videos not too long ago, and he's like, oh my gosh, the Trump going to McDonald's was fake. They set it up. It was actually closed. The people, they had to wait in line. I'm like, you line up cars at drive-throughs. What are you talking about? That's not even strange. That's not even out of the ordinary. Like, so that's the kind of content they make. But he had said that January 6th was our generation, well, his generation's 9/11. So I had some words for Chris in the video. And so they ended up using that one, at least from what I recognized from the screenshot. People had to observe it and say what kind of video I was making and what kind of commentary I was doing and stuff. So it wasn't like a biased bad thing in the exam. And and she said that the girl said that her teacher was pretty even killed, and wasn't too left or too right or anything like that, which is good. But I mean, I don't know how her friend's perspective on the world is. So I just thought it was interesting. And it was at Oakland University. which is not too far. And so I wonder if the person kind of knows me or knows I'm local or what. It was all just like some coincidence because I'll be at OU selling books in December for their art fair. So I just think it's really funny. Um so yeah, I guess you never know how many people are looking at you and sharing your stuff and what they're using it for. Um ooh, there's a let me go ahead and stop you there. I got a super chat or super sticker. Um Divested sweetheart. Not sure what that is, but thank you. Thank you very much for that sticker. Thank you. Appreciate it. So also I this morning I was on Newsmax. So I was on what was the name of the morning show? John Burnett was one of the hosts of the show, so he had reached out to me, and he was a co-host for the morning show, and they wanted to talk about the battleground state of Michigan and just really get like a pulse of what's on the ground and stuff. So I reached out to them afterwards, and they said that we said I did really great on the show, but that they'll get me a clip of the episode. So I will post it when I get that, so you guys can see that. But we talked about they brought up the fact that there was an Emerson poll that had Trump up one and Harris, it was like 48-47. And so I mentioned that Nate Silver's average of all the polls together kind of puts them at Harris up one, Trump, down one. And but I think what you can really tell is from the behavior from the campaigns is that Trump is pretty happy. He seems to be happy. I'm hearing from people, around him or whatever, that he appears to be very happy. He seems pretty confident that he's going to turn out a win. When it comes to, he's probably the most confident he's been in all three elections, to be honest. I mean, because he's probably optimistic in 2016, but there's all these polls saying he was going to lose and lose big. And in 2020, I'm sure he probably got some news from folks that for some numbers that didn't look great. And then when they started counting like the mail-in ballots, they were like having like different articles that were prepping like it's going to look like Trump won, but then it's going to be overtaken. So they were probably prepping him for a loss. Now, I'm not saying that he was accepting that or whatever, or because ultimately he didn't even anyway, but he probably, there wasn't there's some polling that I'm sure said like he was in good shape for to be reelected, but I do know like internal stuff, people were like, there's some stuff that doesn't look good. They're probably the happiest and most confident that they've been going in, and there's some people who are different insiders saying that they're so optimistic, they're scared to be optimistic, like don't get too cocky, like don't get your hopes up, even though there's like data for in reasons for their hopes to be up. They're they're trying not to psych themselves up too much. But Harris, on the other hand, their folks are resorting to hysteria, and they've been lying about stuff the whole entire time, don't get me wrong, but Harris had a more positive message. It was joy, this and joy that, but we saw that she had to turn from something, and the joy wasn't enough because she started doing more interviews, and she was avoiding media for like 40 days. And not only was she avoiding media, when the media would ask her surrogates and her staff, like, hey, are we going to be able to have any interviews, she was saying, they were saying like, oh, she's talking to the American people, because she's standing in front of a teleprompter saying some stuff. And so they flipped it all of a sudden. They knew that they had to, so that when you have to change strategy like that, there's some news that's not good, and it's just negative. Trump is a Nazi. Trump is a fascist. He's deranged. She's unwell. Oh, that was a Nazi rally. It's so negative. They've gone so negative. They were supposed to unite and bring people together, and now they're still lying about like, oh, we're still the unified people, whatever. But their behavior informs us that they're losing. And so I also heard more information from internal campaigns, like from on the ground, that they have Trump up in Michigan, and in other races that are pretty close. So um, it's looking like he could win Michigan. Is definitely a possibility. Part of me feels, though, I just caution everybody, because in our state we did reelect Gretchen Whitmer and Dana Nessel, and what's our Secretary of State? Dana is the AG, Jocelyn Benson. They did reelect them even after COVID and all that stuff. They reelected all these women. And I said, our state likes electing crazy women for some reason. So I'm seeing a lot more Harris signs than I did before. Depends where you are. But, I'm in like Oakland County. I see that's a lot of her stuff going on now. If you go in Macomb, you'll see definitely a lot more Trump stuff. But, Oakland County is a big county and it's going to make a difference. So even if Trump makes a big dent in Wayne County, if he's losing ground in Kent and in even more ground in Oakland, it's not a good thing. But I don't know, the numbers look good for him, so there's reason to be optimistic. I guess I sympathize with the people who are like, I think we're going to win, but I don't want to get my hopes up. I understand that. I like to save all of any kind of future bragging for when it actually happens. I was not beating on my chest in 2016 like, oh, Trump's going to win, Trump's going to do that. I was not putting any of that energy out on social media. But as soon as that announcement came in, I was a little, I wouldn't say insufferable. But I was, Trump was like, you're going to get so tired of winning. So I was still at office that night in Lansing, because I worked for the Michigan Republican Party, and I got up. There was a couch in my office and a blanket. So I got on the couch and put the blanket over me. I'm like, I'm so tired of winning. So I had fun that night and continuously had fun after that. But in 2020, I was not going to be one of those people online crying because like, my candidate lost, and I had so many other things going on at the time because my dad had COVID, so I was not engaged in that the way that other people around me were engaged. Some people were like, you're kind of checked out. I'm like, yeah, my dad kind of almost died, so there's just other things in life than politics, guys. But anyway, we talked about that. They asked about the economy, and I said that they can say whatever job numbers are, they can quote stuff, but people feel how they feel. They go to the grocery store and things are still expensive. Their dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. There's some different companies that I've heard of that aren't hiring people during the holidays. And I mean people who need to hire people, and they're not hiring folks for holidays, decently paying good jobs too. So that's not a good sign, but so many stores have gotten used to just having low staffs, so they're probably just going to work them really hard, and if things get backed up, things just get backed up, and that's really unfortunate. But another thing that I mentioned, because we talked I wasn't the only guest on the show, and he talked quite a bit about the economy, but then I brought it back and I'm like, another thing that's really killing people in Michigan and all over the country are their energy costs. I've heard people talk about their DTE bills. They're like, it's highway robbery. It's so hard for people to get by with some of these bills for our electricity and so on. And I said, I don't understand how our former governor, not Gretchen Whitmer, but Granholm, I'm like, she got a raise, she got like a promotion, and she was over the lost decade. The time period when she was governor, it's referred to as the lost decade, and that's who like our energy secretary is. So that just shows you, like, in the world of politics, especially when you're a Democrat, you can really fail upwards. So many people in the Biden administration are just people who really shouldn't be there, but it's like he put them there as a big middle finger to the world. That's what it feels like with many of his picks, to be honest. So, and then I was asked about like kind of the feeling on the ground, and I talked about how so many people, they may not like Trump, but they really don't like Harris. And even like in 2020, I was at the post office and overheard two black gentlemen talking about how much they didn't like Harris and her record in DC, in not in California, and and they're just worried about that on a national scale. So people still don't like her. So people are more open to Trump because even if they don't like him, it's two bad options, and they at least are familiar with the other guy, and they may not have liked him, but there was more money in their pocket. So anyway, it was a interesting segment, and that was pretty much what we talked about on Newsmax. And so I look forward to sharing that with you all, and hopefully, I'll be doing more of that in the future. So I'm excited. I was excited about it, and I'm happy that so many of you guys said some kind words when I announced that I was on Newsmax, and I'm glad you guys are proud of me. It means a lot. So it was an interesting morning, but I've had a long day so far. But and tomorrow I will be doing a podcast with Kevin Ranke for his podcast. It will not be live. So I'll tell you guys when it's edited and up, and then I'll be sharing it around or whatever. Should be an interesting conversation. I'm not aware what they're going to ask. But I don't think it won't be out before the election. So we probably won't talk too much like election stuff, maybe like predictions. I don't like doing predictions though, because I don't like to be wrong. But I know. There's a lot of other things going in my life that we could certainly talk about. So it should be interesting. And I think the purpose of a show isn't to just be like, it's called Beyond the Echo Chamber. So they don't want to just talk like full on like partisan kind of stuff. So anyway, again, thank you in the comments for the congratulations. Jay Vega or Biga, I see you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Yeah, it's really cool. And I thank people at Newsmax for that opportunity. Again, hopefully I'll be back sooner rather than later. So let's talk about Mr. Negative Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the president of the United States of America. Now, what's really funny about all this, and I do find humor in it. I know some people are people really like fuming mad about this. I'm not saying it's not bad. It is bad. It's terrible. He's the president of the United States saying this stuff. But I'm not outraged in the way that even close to the outrage Democrats have been faking about some comedian going to the Trump rally making some joke about Puerto Rico in floating garbage. Which I didn't think the joke was funny, and and I really didn't care about it, and I think it's sad if people care that much about it. And it wasn't a good idea to have a roast comedian come to the rally. I guess he said other jokes that people liked, but he is a pretty famous roast comedian that is just brutal. And Trump didn't say the words, he said those words. So people have been condemning Trump and Trump supporters and the rally because of words from a comedian. Now, some people have like spoken up, on the left about like it's a joke, like chill out, but the Democrats have been going on and on and on and on about this. So it's very funny that people wanted to focus so much about what a comedian said, not even what Trump said, what a comedian said. But we're not supposed to focus on what Joe Biden said because he's not running for president, but he is the president. It's not that he's running for president, but he is the president. And he is the president right now while the vice president is Kamala Harris, and they're attached. The Biden-Harris administration. Right? So we can't just like really split that, It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Now, I want to before I play it, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen it by now, I want to go back in time for a little bit. Let's go back in time. This is not the first time that President Joe Biden was trying to defend the Latino community or Hispanic community or whatever, and then ended up trashing someone at the same time. I love this clip of Joe Biden. I love it. He's awful and he's terrible. I love it because it's so funny that he's so awful. And the "You ain't black" comment got like way more play than this, but this one was so remarkable. It was so remarkable because it just revealed so much about Joe Biden and what he really thinks. Okay.
And by the way, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. And by the way, what you
By the way, what you all know, so he's talking to a group of Hispanic voters. He's like, what you all know, and what many other people don't know, with notable exceptions, is that these darn Negroes don't have any unique thoughts, about stuff you guys do. You guys are great. The Negroes. Oh my gosh. It was hilarious how racist he was. And it's just like right over your head, But what's funny is that, I don't know, some people will just go to one minority group and rag on another minority group to get in with that group, but you're still trashing the other group. So that's what it was like, hey, did you hear about those blacks? You know, that's what this was back then, and this was 2020. That's what Joe Biden said, and granted, he wasn't the president then, no, but he was, the former vice president of the United States of America. So I love that. I love it because it's so awful. It's so terrible. So I just want people to understand the sort of things that Joe Biden has said, because I want to just add some context for people who think that Joe Biden didn't mean what he said when he said what he said last night. Okay. I just want to add some context so people understand this is his character. This is who he is. Okay. So let's go back down memory lane some more. I've already referenced this. I've already mentioned it. So let's go to the good old "You ain't black." Let's go. Oh, sorry. That's the wrong. Why'd it go up? Scroll down a little bit. There we go. The "You ain't black."
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Okay. And what was so funny about this clip, because my younger sister, one of my younger sisters, I have 3 younger sisters, but the one who's right under me, Sabrina, she called me. She's like, did you see? This was on the Breakfast Club. He's talking to Charlemagne. He's like, did you see what Joe Biden said? He said, if you don't vote for him, then you ain't black. And he's just saying, oh, I own you Negroes. That's what he's saying when he says this, and he knows it. And she was spitting bullets. She was mad. And so I watched it. I think I probably watched the whole episode, maybe. But what is so funny, I thought it was hilarious. And let me tell you why it's hilarious. I love talking about this. What was so hilarious about the "You ain't black" comment is, if all you've seen is this clip and you don't know this background of how, when he actually said this, it was the very end of the interview, the very end of it. And Charlemagne was like, because his people are like, you gotta go. And so Charlemagne was like, okay, well, I hope you come back, I've got more questions for you. And he said, you got more questions? Well, if you're having trouble deciding between me and Donald Trump, then you ain't black. And he smiles. And then Charlemagne is like, it ain't about, that it's just about what's doing best, what's right for me and my community. And then Joe Biden's like, look at my record, man. I've been endorsed by the NAACP, which they don't endorse, so that's a lie. I've done this, I've done that, and he just started to lie about his record, to impress this black man that he just insulted, and all these other, Trump supporters, whatever. But it's not even like just black Trump supporters that Joe Biden insulted. It was anyone who was having trouble deciding between Joe and Trump. It was like you commit the thought crime and there goes your blackness. It just doesn't exist anymore. So what was so funny to me, besides like the blatant racism and just how unbelievable it was the fact that he was literally at the end of his interview. All this man had to do was say, I look forward to seeing you again, Charlemagne. Goodbye. literally all he had to say. And he's like, I'm gonna nail this. And he just created such drama for him with that line. And so that was pretty bad. I don't know if it's worse than what he said about to the to about the you know the Hispanic community. You guys aren't like those blacks over there, I don't know which one is worse, but the "you ain't black" comment obviously got more play. Now, Congressman Byron Donalds was asked about this. And so, well, he not about the "you ain't black" comment. He was asked about Joe Biden saying his comments about the Trump supporters. And so Byron's like, what, like, why don't you believe that he said this that way? Like, this is just who Joe Biden is.
My response is that the first statement from Joe Biden?
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Is the one that he truly believes. He does not think that people who disagree with him or his party, who support President Trump, are Americans. He thinks that they're garbage. That's a fact. And the reason, what I go back to is 4 years ago, around this same time, it was Joe Biden that went on the Breakfast Club, and he famously said,
if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That if you couldn't vote for him, then you weren't black. It's the same Joe Biden. Made the same type of statement 4 years ago. So this is consistent with who he is. Look, I think right now what we have is a contrast in presidential campaigns. Donald Trump has been on the campaign trail talking about fixing our country, ending a lot of the travesties from the Biden-Harris administration, making America great again. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, for that matter, they're running around talking about the rally, and MSG was a Nazi rally.
Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden.
You stand by the comparison, though, to a Nazi rally?
Look, the rally, you saw it for yourself.
Well, Laura, I spoke at that rally. So did Harry O., the founder of Death Row Records. So did Vivek Ramaswamy. So did Tulsi Gabbard. I don't think the Nazis will let us speak at their rally. So that hateful rhetoric is coming from the left, and it's got to stop.
Yeah, he's right. That hateful rhetoric is coming from the left. The call is coming from inside the house, guys. The call is from inside the house. So let me play the clip, a little bit longer clip of Joe Biden, and you guys can be the you know what, let me show you first the little transcript that the White House put out about it. Because it's obviously wrong what they said, but so according to the transcript, the White House and stuff was trying to put out about what he said. He says, and just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where they're also blaming this on a stutter. In my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done, everything we've been. So what they're trying to say is that Joe Biden, and they added this apostrophe instead of it being plural, like supporters, his supporters are garbage. They're trying to say that, you got the apostrophe there, apostrophe S, and it's the supporters rhetoric, which isn't like stated there. We're just supposed to kind of infer there because of the speaker, but you're missing some words to connect the dots there. Now, given Joe Biden's history, as Byron Donalds noted, and I noted, Joe Biden just sometimes says things that are crap. Like he might have tried to he might have realized what he said was wrong and then very quickly tried to shift to Trump. or even I guess maybe back to the speaker or something, but kind of like when he said the other day something about locking up Trump, and then he kind of tried to shift or adjust real quick, but he said what he said. They get heated in the moment and they say crazy things. Joe Biden has said crazy things, not even being in the heat of the moment. But Hillary Clinton said basket of deplorables. Kamala Harris is calling Trump a fascist. Tim Walz is going around saying, that they had a Nazi rally, and people online were saying that, and so on. We're making the comparison. Hillary, she started it, did she not? Like she's been saying a long time that Trump was going to have this Madison Square Garden, rally that's akin to like Nazis when Hitler did it and stuff. So I believe that she was the first one who kind of started putting out that narrative, and then that was the narrative everyone just decided to go with. That Trump was just going to have a Nazi rally or whatever. So that's the White House and their story and how they're characterizing it. And let me play it for you guys, and you guys can be the judge of what he said.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done, everything we've been. Donald Trump has no character.
Now, I will tell you versus how the White House is trying to characterize what he said and their punctuation of it. I would have said that supporters is supposed to be plural, and he was referring to the supporters as garbage. And when he said his, rhetoric or whatever, when he went on is unconscionable, that's a new sentence. There was a period. Supporters, there's no apostrophe S or whatever. There's not the dash, stutter or whatever. That's a new sentence when he's continuing on ragging about Trump and so on. That's how I interpreted it. I'm a writer. I'm not a master grammar person. I do a decent job, but I think they're really trying really hard. Now, Biden, he didn't apologize. He tried to clarify, or there was a tweet with a clarification that I'm sure he did not write, but let me go ahead and just read that to you guys. Earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by, and even that's a lie. The way that they are characterizing it, a lot, they're saying they were talking about Puerto Ricans. It was about Puerto Rico. So I just want to make that clear. I mean, this doesn't say that, but there's chyrons and stuff that people have been saying as if people were saying stuff about Puerto Ricans. And again, it was a comedian. Trump didn't even say all this stuff, but they've been obsessed about it since the weekend. Earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump supporters, by Trump supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos, there you go, is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments at the rally don't reflect who we are as a nation. And yeah, that's not an honest way. He's not being honest about any way that he's portraying what was said and what was done. And again, if we're supposed to kind of ignore Biden, it's not fair for everyone to just ignore what Biden said, who is the president of the United States, who's president of these people that he called garbage, including that comedian, by the way. But we are supposed to be focused nonstop at this comedian who made a joke, And there is some kind of story about Puerto Rico and like waste management because of poor government management or something, that there's actual context to the backstory of that joke. But that's somehow supposed to make people so angry that maybe they were going to vote for Trump, but now they won't vote for Trump because a comedian said something at a rally. Now, it wasn't probably wise to have him there. And it distracted from the huge success of it otherwise. And you know that the rally was probably really good because that's all they want to focus on. They want to call it a Nazi rally, and they want to focus on this thing that he said. But if there was like a gold mine of things to pull out to really use, then they wouldn't be focused on somebody who's not even Trump, right? So Biden, his team, they're dirty little liars, but they're not the only one, who are keeping up with the whole charade. And it's pretty sick. I mean, Politico went along with it. They're not the only ones. Let's pull that up. Politico. A comedian who appeared ahead of Trump at the Madison Square Garden in New York City on Sunday called the American territory an island of garbage. Biden, in a Zoom call with the organization Voto Latino, said the only garbage was the hatred of Trump supporters who said such things about the American citizen. Like, how do you cut that up to get to that conclusion where you can write that and type it with a straight face? That's just a mischaracterization of what was said. So, I mean, shame on them, but what do they care? They just want to win. And I get it, but you're supposed to report the news. And this Jeff Bezos just said, hey, people don't trust the media, people don't trust the news, and they do this garbage. Now, this isn't, that was I think Politico, not Washington Post. We'll get to something Washington Post did that's trash recently. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but that's what's going on. People don't buy it. And it's sad, but it's not hard to apologize. And he's not gonna be president for much longer, one way or another. So might as well just, do the right thing, not try to pretend like we're all stupid or deaf or something. But again, I'm not really offended. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that he said that. Man said I wasn't black after committing thought crimes. What else is there to be like upset about? He's not a good person. And in the beginning, how he characterized Trump, he doesn't care about anybody, and that's kind of stuff that Sam Harris was saying, that Trump is so immoral, they only care about business and other things like that. It's you cannot like his character, but the thing about Trump is, I think his philosophy is very self-centered around himself. But I think he has a philosophy of, I don't like to get ripped off. Hey, I'm the president. I don't want America to get ripped off. If I'm the president of the United States, I want America to do it. I think he genuinely cares about the country. He genuinely cares about his family, loves his family deeply, and his family deeply loves and supports him. So I just people characterizing him as if he cares for no one or nothing else. That's just not, true. There's stories or other things, sometimes things that I've heard that have disappointed me, sure, about Trump, things I won't really get into right now. But there's all these other stories that are behind the scenes charitable things that he's done time and time and time again. Like Paula White talked about how she just bring people to Trump Tower, meet him real quick, and he would just start dishing out checks to people. And then he'd get other people, like he'd be in like kind of meetings with other people. It's like, hey, write them a check right now. You write them a check. Like, he's so charitable and stuff. So and so many things he's done and hasn't really went and sought to get credit for either, like even as braggadocious as he is. So people are complex, people are very complex, and demonizing him in the way that they demonizing him is inaccurate. And we just got to get better at that, you know, as a people. You don't have to go so far with the exaggerations and the hyperbole to demonize your opponent. There's so many things you could talk about, stick to policy and go on from there. But if we start talking about how bad this person is, about how bad that person is, I definitely have things I could say about Kamala Harris. I definitely have so many things I could say about Joe Biden. I did a TikTok today. I haven't posted on Facebook yet. So if you're looking for that, I haven't done it yet. I will. But I had did a video about this stuff last night with Joe Biden. Someone was like, Trump is so obsessed with race and says so many racist things or whatever. You just go to bed or something. And I did go to bed. I didn't see that till the morning. And so I replied to the comment and I'm like, you think Trump is like the most race obsessed person? I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know about the president? And I have a shirt. I don't have it around me right now, the second, but well, I guess I have it up in my brand stuff. Hold on. It's my shirt. Denounce white supremacy, defeat Joe Biden. I have the long sleeve version, very comfortable. And then I showed the back. I'm like, there's all this racist stuff on the back, and this isn't he said, she said stuff. This is stuff that's come out of Biden's mouth that is verifiable that you can look up. And he said, you know, you can't go to a 7-Eleven without a slight Indian accent. I mentioned the you ain't black. I mentioned the thing about what he said to you know, about Latinos and other stuff, in blacks. And I didn't say poor kids are just as smart as white kids or something. that one is it's racist, but I would like to think of it more of a gaffe, but it is racist. If that's like some true feelings peeking out, maybe it is, but I had a list of things that I could name. And if people say, well, Donald Trump is racist, they're going to say, yeah, because of Central Park 5 and he took out an ad. I'm like, that's not racist. And you know, people have all these perceptions of why they even hate Trump. They don't even have good reasons. I could give you more. I could make a better case to not vote for Trump than someone who's probably not going to vote for Trump. Anyway, let's move on. I want to show you guys some clips of Kamala Harris. She had an interview and she said something that I thought was pretty remarkable, that I think is the tell-all for what we should be looking at. So there's another clip from that interview I want to show. And I already did a TikTok and like posted it online. So maybe you guys have seen the clip that I'm going to show in a second. But let me go through this one first. This is really important.
I think what some voters are struggling with, and we've heard this across the state, is when you discuss your plans, they come back and ask, well, why haven't you done it already?
Well, I'm not president.
You're vice president.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to tell you what I'm doing as president when I have the ability then to do what I know based on my experience is a new approach that is about building on the good work that has happened. But there's more to do. There's more to do.
I think what some voters are struggling with.
Okay, so yeah, that is people's response. And she hasn't really had a good response. And her saying, well, I'm not the president. That's true. That's true. Why haven't you worked to like help Joe Biden, convince him to do stuff that you say is so much better, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, it's the Biden-Harris administration. She's second string. He is the president. He's the one who gets to sign the executive orders and the bills and whatever. She's not the president. That's kind of fair. That's kind of fair. It's not really fair when people ask like, well, how will you be different than Joe Biden? Or what would you do differently? And she doesn't have good answers to that, because it just makes people feel like she hasn't really learned her lessons and she's not really going to be an agent of change in a positive direction. But let's just say for now, what she said is fair. She's not the president of the United States. So there's things that she couldn't do that she wanted to do. That's probably fair, right, guys? Right? She's not the president. That's why there's things that she wanted to do to get done, but she couldn't do it because she didn't have the power. She couldn't do it because she didn't have the power. I wonder if any of you know where I'm going with this. Okay. There's things that she could not do because she didn't have the power. So let's go back down memory lane a little bit. She had an interview with Dana Bash. This is the first one that she had after skipping, not doing any media for like 40 days. On the 40th day, she decided to do an interview with Tim Walz, her vice presidential candidate, with Dana Bash from CNN. Okay. And she was asked about her stance on fracking.
Get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania. Sure. Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said, you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
So you keeping your word would be on day one, you ban fracking. Okay. I don't know what she's talking about, that she made it very clear on the debate stage. I don't know if that was between her and Mike Pence on behalf of Joe Biden, in the banning of fracking or whatever. Joe Biden was going around saying that he was going to ban fracking or whatever. So I don't know what she's talking about when she said that she made it clear in 2020, because in 2019, when she was still running for president, 2019 going into 2020, that's a campaign cycle. When you work in politics, it's a campaign cycle. So what you said in 2019, I would say applies in 2020. So I don't know what she means by she made it clear that she wasn't going to ban fracking, because she made it clear that she really wanted to. Her and Biden, but she said, as vice president, we haven't banned fracking. Okay, well, you're the vice president. You couldn't ban fracking, ma'am. You couldn't ban fracking in your position. You don't have that kind of authority. But when you were running for office for president, and you wanted that power, what did you say about fracking? What did you say, ma'am? I will remind you, because I have the clip pulled up.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah. So thank you.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes. And I've again worked on that.
How interesting. And and she keeps saying that she's worked on that. So if she's worked on that, made moves for policy or legislation, or I don't know, sued or fought in court or whatever, if that's her background, those are things that she's actually done. Saying I'm not going to ban fracking, that's hypothetical nonsense. It's a lie. It's a lie. If you have the opportunity to do something, I think that you will, because you're a crazy left-wing person who's the most left-wing person who's I don't know if ever, but she was more left-wing than Bernie Sanders in the Senate. Okay. So yeah, correct. You didn't ban fracking, Kamala Harris, and you can't. That doesn't mean that you won't. but you said that you wanted to. You said there was no question, and you said you do it on day one. Now, Obama tried to do a lot of things with blocking of fracking, and he couldn't. So, the economy and people find a way, and because we had like big oil booms and stuff, with fracking, there's states who found a lot of success in that Obama era. So, though we had some dips, within Obama's economy and things were slow on a lot of different fronts, it could have been worse if Obama could have done all the things that he wanted to do, but he couldn't implement the world, the dystopian society that he wanted to. That doesn't mean that Kamala Harris won't be able to fulfill some of these dreams that she has, but she has supporters that literally think that she has terrible ideas, but their hope is that she won't be able to achieve them. That's their hope, that she'll be too competent, or the system will be too robust and she'll get struck down in courts, or Congress or whatever won't work with her or whatever, and they'll just be able to strike stuff down. But even if they strike stuff down, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been very, proud of the fact that they don't adhere to the Supreme Court on like student loans and other stuff. So what do you do? What do you do? But for every comment she's made about stuff that she hasn't done, like, oh, you guys are afraid I'm going to do this. I didn't do that. Yeah, you couldn't do it. You're not the president. You're not the president. So I just think it's really important for people to keep in mind. That's probably one of the most important things to remember about Kamala Harris. The reason why she hasn't done all the radical things that she wanted to do and announced when she was running for president, things that she actually tried to implement and get into law while she was in the Senate. Again, these are not just hypothetical dreams of Kamala Harris. These are things that she's actually worked towards. The reason why she hasn't done it is because she's not the president. Joe Biden, he's done some left-wing crazy stuff. He's had some really crazy people, who were in his administration, true. But he is not as crazy and as radical as Kamala Harris. But Kamala Harris is a radical, and she's a liar, and she'll do anything to get elected. So just take her at her word of the things she said when she was running for president before. Take her at her word. Her trying to run and be like the next Donald Trump or whatever, telling she's going to deport people and all this stuff, like, or the wall was an okay idea. That, just you might as well not even support her. You might as well just support Trump if you're going to get a watered down one anyway, that you can't. Then let me show you guys this other video from that interview. Oh, gotta go to my likes. Here we go.
I talked with Governor Walz yesterday. Okay. He compared Trump's rally on Sunday to that of one of the Nazi rallies in the 30s at Madison Square Garden. Do you compare that? Do you find that a similar comparison?
Listen, this election is in 7 days, and I think the American people have a very clear choice. And on the one hand, you have Donald Trump, who is constantly fanning the flames of division and hate, who is trying to have the American people point their fingers at each other, or my leadership, which is founded on a lived and experience that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
I talked with Governor Walz yesterday. Okay. He compared.
So, it's someone said she's like an AI generated bot. She just says the same things, and her answer had nothing to do with the question itself. It just automatically went to Trump bad. They're the ones with the bad rhetoric, not even addressing the fact that Tim Walz was the one who said something that was very divisive, and he's her running mate. And by the way, she's calling Trump a fascist and stuff. The Democrats are the ones who are very, very, very divisive, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg of the divisive, crazy stuff that they have been saying. I think pushing the very fine people hoax is one of the most evil things that she and Joe Biden have been doing, as far as dividing the country. So it's they don't care. They don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care in the least bit. But last thing I think I want to mention before I let you guys go is that there's a story that the Washington Post decided to put out, which by the way, the Washington Post decided to put out like a hit piece, I guess, on their owner. So good luck with that. What if he like just everybody quits, or he fires like everybody, and all of a sudden becomes like a conservative paper or something? That would be so funny. It'd be so funny. I don't foresee that really happening, but and he's subsidizing their paychecks. Like he saved the paper, bought it, and you know, that kind of media is dying. So many people get laid off or whatever, and they're just out here tripping, man, about all this stuff. But there was an article that the Washington Post decided to put out, and we don't have time to really go through it, but a struggling Nevada mom suffers a miscarriage. Then the police shows up and arrest her for manslaughter, and she's sentenced to 2.5 to 8 years in prison. Only when a pro bono lawyer steps up and appeals does a judge reverse the conviction and set her free to return to her children. This is family values. Is that's that doesn't seem very, newsy. He wrote it for the Washington Post. He's a New York Times reporter, columnist. Think about that as you vote. So there's a great community note here. Number one, she smoked meth while pregnant. 2 crimes. Thank God for this platform and how Elon changed these things. The community notes is one of the best things about X. Her baby was well past viability. Autopsy said 28 to 32 weeks. She admitted she did it to kill her baby. Number 4, law enforcement believes that the baby was born alive and then killed. Number 5, this was in 2018 before Roe v. Wade was overturned. These people are sick. If there were so many stories, tragic stories about mothers and miscarriages and blah, 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 then why don't you write about them? Why do you guys have to write about women who left their dead baby to drown in a toilet? Why do you have to write about the woman who literally tried to kill her child with drugs and taking a lot of cinnamon and lifting up heavy stuff so she could prematurely give birth and kill the darn thing? Because she didn't want to find someone to take her 2 hours out to an abortion clinic. What is wrong with you people? Anything, just absolutely anything to keep abortion. It's insane. This culture loves death. And it's insane. And so many people, like I talk about this topic all the time. I'm very passionate about it. Maybe some of you feel that I'm too passionate or speak too much, or maybe my opinion is too far right for you guys and too rigid or for some of you or whatever. But please explain to me why these people resort to such lengths to keep abortion legal, to these lies. Why? Why? If the laws are such a problem, why all the lies? Why not just tell stories? Why lie about Amber Thurman, and make it seem like pro-life laws killed her when she died of sepsis after taking abortion pills and killing her twins? Why? Why the lies? Why the lies? Why the lies? It's insane. this is someone had said, hey, you left this out of your article. Patient Patience Fraser was pregnant, but she didn't want to be. She took a pregnancy test in February 2018. It was positive. She didn't know how far along she was. She had an irregular period. In 2018, Trump was still the president, man. This was so far before that. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It just hit me how ridiculous it is because I just started doing the math. I'm like, oh my gosh. Sorry. She took a pregnancy test in February 2018. It was positive. She didn't know how far along she was. She had irregular periods and her body looked different than during her previous pregnancies. So she totally knows. Obviously, these women know what a baby was, but she's been through pregnancy and stuff before. So this is an ignorance, guys. So many times people are like, "Oh, women, they don't know what they're doing. They're just so ignorant when they go in and then they have an abortion. They don't actually know it's a baby." And they infantilize these women who do it. It's kind of insulting to the degree. But what do you do about women who've had carried multiple pregnancies to term? They know it's a baby. They just don't want the baby. The furthest along she could have been was 4 months, she estimated. The closest abortion center to Winnemucca is where she lived was more than 2 hours away. Fraser's car was broken and she couldn't find a ride to Reno. On April 21st, she had a stillbirth or pregnancy loss after the 20th week at her house. She wrapped the remains. I'm sorry, I skipped a. Then 26, she looked to the internet for home remedies for the abortion. She ate large amounts of cinnamon every day for the next month. She smoked marijuana daily. She lifted heavy objects. Give me 1 second. I thought I had plugged in my computer. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I didn't want to awkwardly die in front of all of you. Like, where did she go? So she ate cinnamon, she took drugs, lifted heavy objects, everything to try to get rid of this baby. On April 21st, she had a stillbirth or a pregnancy loss after the 20th week. At her house, she wrapped the remains in a black bandana and placed them in the arms of a monkey stuffed animal. She added a few more layers in a mesh bag before burying the bundle in the backyard. So yeah, you can't just treat remains any old kind of way. There was also a story that had happened about a mother who acquired abortion pills for her daughter. It was past the point of time where an abortion would have been legal. And also, you don't take pills as late as she was taking them because you don't know how successful it's going to be anyway. But there's just different kind of risks at that point. And so she had the baby, but it was dead. And so they just claimed everybody that she had a stillbirth or whatever, but they tried to burn the body, and I guess they couldn't successfully do that. It's not that easy to just burn one, guys. And then they buried it. So there was a tip from the police. Someone tipped off the police, and then they got a warrant to look through their Facebook messages and stuff. And so the messages were like, I can't wait to get this thing out of me. I can't wait to wear jeans again, etc. And so then people were upset because the girl who had the abortion, she only got sentenced not even that very long, but and they didn't charge her for actually killing the baby. They charged her for like concealing the dead body and what they did with it or whatever. The mother ended up getting time for the actual abortion. So that's another thing that's inconsistent to me too, because her mom at that point in time helped her procure the abortion. So the law is willing to punish her, but it's not willing to punish the mother. But the mother is also someone, because they'll say the pro-life argument for not like charging women is, oh, well, they've been brainwashed by society and they've been told they're not a baby, whatever. But the mother in that case who helped abort her grandchild, is she not brainwashed the same kind of way? So why would, for that logic, why wouldn't they both be off? Or I don't see why you can't keep extending that logic or whatever. And I think they all know that it's a baby and that they are killing it. That's the point of the abortion. I saw a video earlier with Trent Horn talking about a Jubilee video, and this kid Dean was debating Charlie Kirk about abortion in the terms of murder, if it's murder. And so Dean had reason to why he believed that it was he defined it as unjustified murder, and Charlie, I guess, agreed with that. But Dean, I was going to make the case that it was justified murder. So Trent Horn, he said, the legal definition of murder is, the intentional killing with malice and forethought. So there has to be some premeditation there, and there has to be some malice involved. And an abortion obviously does have premeditation, and it does have malice involved. Maybe in some cases not. I don't mean like personal, like I hate this thing, but there is this thing is alive and I don't want it to be. And I'm broke, I can't raise it, so I'm going to kill the baby. Oh, my boyfriend doesn't want me to keep it, so I'm going to kill the baby. Oh, I want to finish college, so let me kill the baby. So Trent Horn, how he described it, I'm like, okay, that actually does fit abortion. But he's like, so I just like to call abortion a homicide. I'm like, no, there is premeditation there, and there's malice involved. You do want, we can say, no, but nobody wants to kill the baby. Yeah, yes, you do. You may feel bad about it, upset about it, but you could always, if you don't want to do it, why do you do it? Why do it? You don't have to. I know you don't want to be pregnant, but that's a short time. I mean, it may feel like a long time when you have a growing thing and a growing baby inside you and stuff, but that's not going to be forever. It's going to be 9 months, maybe a little earlier. That is forever, So anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please go to look at this Chiron real quick with CNN. Let me expand it so you guys can see it. Let me play it.
Governor, first off, just what's your response?
The Chiron says, Biden, only garbage I see are Trump supporters demonizing Latinos. That's they're the way they frame this all is so awful. The lies. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for your comments, watching live. Thank you to those of you who watch this back later. All that I appreciate. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different articles. I did drop an article not too long ago. I encourage you guys to read it, to share it around. I do share more of my social media posts on like TikTok or whatever. I see you guys sharing that on like Facebook and stuff. So I thank you guys. Make sure that you guys are subscribed and that you guys are hitting the notification bells, that you are liking the pages and so on. Check out my different merch at the store, like this black tea mug and different t-shirts that we have available at the store. Let me show you guys my pumpkin spice season mug. And I looked up, I'm like, how long does pumpkin season last? And people are like, it's until the entire end of the year. So I'm like, go ahead and get your pumpkin season mug. And I do have those in t-shirts too, but those are available at the store. I'm seeing if I already made my announcements. I'm so like on edge because Amazon hasn't given me all my books for the weekend yet, but they're supposed to be in transit or whatever. They ship them. So hopefully I'll be getting like a huge shipment of books tomorrow and stuff. But I should have I can't believe the election is like, it's next week, guys. It's next week. And these conferences and stuff I got to do, not conferences, but these signings or whatever. I just have an insanely busy next week, and hopefully it's a good week, but we'll see. We are so close to the finish line. God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.